o'clock. Okay.
All right, I'll see you then. I should probably get back to work, but I love you.
I love you too. It's fine. I got this. Iris, kicking ass, giving names, taking names. Iris, getting her ass kicked.
It's a nice metaphorical story. It's probably been done before, but your personification of anxiety and depression came across as fresh and original. I was hoping when the woman went to the party she would leave them behind, but nope, there they were on her hip the whole time. I guess that's reality.
This one is really good, guys. I've never done such a variety of emotional gymnastics in such a short period of time, but the writing and the portrayals of the characters really have you just sympathizing and in there and feeling it. And there's some just creepy moments, cool moments, endearing moments. It's got a little bit of everything. And you really do feel for the characters. So good job with direction and performances, and the writing, cinematography was all top notch, guys. This one feels like it is setting up to be a feature-length film.
Really touching. It was a really honest look at someone struggling with the mix of voices, of parts of potentially different mental illnesses, and I thought it was done with compassion and an honest, curious mind behind it, which I really admire. And I loved the way that these different parts were depicted by separate actors, as well as the makeup was really cool.
I thought it was very well done. I actually have a psychology degree, so this is something that I find interesting and fascinating at the same time. I think everyone at some point in their lives has felt out of place. The portrayal of the voices I thought was fantastic. I thought that you guys did a really great job on this film, and I look forward to seeing more from you.
There were really great performances. I loved the idea of physically embodying those mental illnesses or the emotional afflictions you're going through in that state, and it was really uncomfortable. It was also very believable, and I really felt for this main character, which I think is the name of the game.
This is not your typical leading lady, which was then sort of confirmed as being deliberate later on when she said she needs to drop another 40 pounds first. I think that was necessary. If it was, your typical leading lady that's super thin and whatever, that wouldn't have, it would have lessened the seriousness of the film. It wouldn't have been able to take it as seriously as I did. And this one was genius. It was short, simple, had a clear message. Initially, I was worried about the race of the character who played anxiety, and I wasn't sure if there was going to be an unintentional underlying message there that could have been harmful, but turns out I think it was just colorblind casting, which was pretty dope.
I love the personification of anxiety and depression. I think that it can be really difficult for those who don't struggle with those things to perceive and be able to understand what the experience is really like. So I thought this was a really creative way to help see it from another perspective and show the narrative in a visual way. I also thought it was a very interesting choice to make anxiety so sexy and alluring. I would love to know more about that choice.
I really enjoyed this film. I love the setting in which you chose to personify depression and anxiety. I think it's a situation that's way more common than we share, way more common than we'd like to admit. And it's very thoughtfully written, which is something that I appreciated. Just even showing what kind of anxiety the protagonist has to deal with, not being able to plan for an event upon receiving that call, right? Being sprung an event last minute and not having time to mentally prepare for it. It was very well thought out. Just even the way depression and anxiety were personified in the film, I thought it was very unique in terms of giving them really specific personalities that are, sort of linked by the psyche of the protagonist, and the costume and the makeup. I really, really love that anxiety was coming out of the ground, trying to pull in the protagonist, sink her in. There were really great theatrical elements like that in this short. And I'm glad that the film displayed a really honest and raw scenario that a lot of people silently battle with in their day-to-day lives. I thoroughly enjoyed this film.
I think it's very important to address this type of topics in film and even more social media right now, because anxiety and depression have always had impact in people's lives, and on this particular individual it looks like they really have a strong say in what she does or doesn't do, and what she is perceived even to herself, which is a very negative image of her, and it impacts all her life. I'm thankful for filmmakers that dare to address these topics and say it like it is, and I really like this film.
I love this film. It really deals with the topic of social anxiety so well. This poor woman, you totally feel for her. She wants to be good to her husband. She wants to help and go to the party, but she has this horrible series of voices in her head. The evil temptress who says, "Ooh, go, you should go, you have to go." And then this other rotting carcass of a voice, really well performed, both of them, saying, "You can't go, you're no good, you're ugly," that kind of thing. So you really sense the voices in her head. And I love the costumes of the anxiety in the red dress and the eyes, and also the rotting makeup of the other character, depression. What a great film. It really is terrifying, and you can sense her fear. Great job.
I think that it was really powerful. What a very visceral way to bring to light something that people struggle with so internally and oftentimes secretly. I think that's going to give people a very different perspective on what those day-to-day struggles are like for people who struggle with those issues.
What I found awesome about this short film is the subject, because I think that to some extent all of us can relate to what's happening to her. I could relate to it. I enjoyed it mainly for that reason, and I feel like a lot of people will relate to it. I like how anxiety was lit in the door frame the first time we see her. It was like, oh, that's cool. Everything is dark around her, but she's like really well lit. I really like that. A great choice of actresses all around. Makeup and wardrobe as well felt, I will say, accurate. It just felt, that's how it's supposed to be. I like the hands, like the black hands of the anxiety character.
I felt like it was gorgeously shot. It was super creepy. It felt like it very much encompassed the kind of like horror thriller genre. It was just, it was creepy as hell. It was great performances by both of the kind of demon-y characters. I felt like the production design was super interesting. The closet monster, I think, was my favorite.
It was a good story. I like this one. It was more on the horror side, and it was different than most of the other ones. It seemed like it wasn't too scary, but it just had that scary feel. Everybody should be able to relate to that small voice in our head that tells us that we're not good enough. But I liked this one just because it seems relatable for a lot of people.
Enjoyed the way it used the horror aesthetic to exemplify anxiety in someone. Throughout the movie, you felt the main character's sense of anxiety for something so simple. The movie did a great job of conveying that feeling.
I thought the reveal of both evil spirits were well done and quite unique, especially the one coming out of the clothes, because it was unexpected. But I thought it was very stylish and very creepy. I also thought that the music was very effective, especially as it was leading up to the breakdown of the main character before the husband-boyfriend came home. So that I thought that really helped to support what was going on.